It's been weeks now, and still no one in Ottawa is giving a straight answer. Every time someone in Parliament is asked about it, the response is either silence or a vague no comment. But behind closed doors, whispers are growing louder. Something big happened, something involving President Trump, Alberta, and what insiders are now calling the energy bombshell of the decade. At first, it looked like a simple trade negotiation. A few meetings, some talks about cross-border energy cooperation. Nothing unusual. But then, the tone shifted. Alberta's Premier, Danielle Smith, suddenly cancelled 2 public appearances. Ottawa's Economic Committee went into an unannounced, private session. And within hours, energy markets in both countries began reacting, almost as if someone knew a deal had just been struck before the public did. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Multiple senior officials, not from Ottawa, not from Washington, but from Edmonton, have reportedly been in talks with American energy executives connected directly to the Trump administration. What were they discussing? That's where things get murky. Some sources claim it was about expanding Alberta's oil exports directly to U.S. refineries, bypassing federal oversight. Others insist it went far deeper. Something about shared infrastructure, secret guarantees, and even the possibility of dual sovereignty over certain energy corridors. Of course, none of this has been confirmed publicly. No official statement, no press release, not even a tweet. But what is people talking is the timing. Just days before this alleged deal surfaced, President Trump made a cryptic remark during a rally. He said, and I quote, "Some deals don't need Ottawa's permission." At the time, most people brushed it off as typical Trump bravado. But what if that line was more than just a jab? What if he was hinting at something real, a direct, off-the-books understanding with one of Canada's most powerful provinces? Let's think about it. Alberta controls roughly 80% of Canada's crude production. If a foreign power, especially the United States, managed to secure privileged access to that energy flow, Ottawa would lose a massive chunk of its leverage. It wouldn't just be about oil, it would be about power. Real power. The kind that decides who gets to call the shots in North America's energy future. And this is where Prime Minister Mark Carney enters the picture. Insiders say his team was blindsided. One cabinet member allegedly stormed out of a closed meeting after learning that Alberta's government had been holding unauthorized discussions with U.S. intermediaries. But the most shocking part? The federal government can't even prove it happened. No documents, no recordings, no digital trail. It's almost as if the entire operation was designed to vanish. Meanwhile, on the Alberta side, there's been a noticeable change in tone. Danielle Smith's recent speeches have taken on a defiant edge. Words like sovereignty, independence, and economic freedom are showing up more and more. She hasn't mentioned Trump by name, but the implication is clear. Alberta is preparing to act on its own terms, no matter what Ottawa thinks. And yet, despite all this tension, neither side is willing to go public. Why? Because the stakes are enormous. If the rumors are true, this isn't just a provincial deal. It's a fundamental reshaping of the Canadian Federation, a test of how far one province can go before the entire system starts to crack. Now, here's where things take a darker turn. There's talk, again, unverified, that the alleged deal involves more than oil. That it includes rare earth minerals, lithium deposits, and even pipeline security guarantees tied to U.S. private contractors. Some insiders claim Trump's administration quietly approved these discussions months ago under what's being described as a resource stabilization framework. Sounds official, right? Except that framework doesn't appear anywhere in U.S. public records. Still, the evidence keeps piling up. Anonymous sources in both countries are leaking fragments, shipment manifests, satellite images of unmarked convoys near the Montana border, and unexplained energy data fluctuations across Alberta's grid. Are these coincidences? Or signs of a new cross-border infrastructure project that Ottawa didn't authorize? When you start connecting the dots, a chilling pattern emerges. Alberta, rich in resources but frustrated by federal policies, finds an ally in Washington. Trump, eager to secure energy dominance, finds a willing partner north of the border. And Mark Carney, caught between maintaining national unity and confronting a rebellious province, finds himself with limited options. The question now isn't whether a deal happened, it's what that deal means. Because if Alberta really did strike an independent understanding with Trump's administration, it could set off a chain reaction. Saskatchewan might follow. British Columbia could demand similar treatment. And suddenly, Canada's carefully balanced federation starts to look like a patchwork of regional alliances. And if that happens, everything changes not just for Canada, but for the entire continent. Imagine an Alberta pipeline system tied directly to American refineries, with pricing dictated not from Ottawa, but from Washington. Imagine U.S. contractors guarding Canadian energy sites for security coordination. Imagine Alberta's government quietly receiving U.S. investment under energy cooperation grants that never passed through federal approval. Again, nothing confirmed. But there's a reason this story refuses to die. Even global markets seem to sense that something's brewing. Oil futures linked to Alberta crude have been acting strange lately. Sudden spikes, sudden drops, like someone's pulling strings behind the scenes. For Alberta, this is an opportunity or a dangerous gamble. Because if it's true that Smith's government is negotiating outside Ottawa's purview, it could invite constitutional chaos. The federal government could intervene. Courts could get involved. International pressure could mount. But at the same time, if Alberta truly is getting something tangible out of it, infrastructure funding, export guarantees, or preferential pricing, then Smith may feel she's holding the winning hand. And that's the genius or the danger of this so-called energy bombshell. It's not just a deal. It's leverage. Quiet leverage. The kind that shifts power dynamics without anyone realizing it until it's too late. There's a reason why so many insiders are terrified to speak. Because if this story is even half true, it suggests that the traditional balance between Ottawa and the provinces is already broken. The federation might still exist on paper, but in practice, power could already be shifting south. And maybe that's been the plan all along. While the world's been watching tariffs, trade wars, and elections, something deeper may have been happening, something designed to rewrite the map of North American energy politics from the inside out. At the end of the day, this could either be the biggest hoax of the decade, or the first chapter in a continental realignment that no one saw coming. But one thing's certain, Alberta's silence speaks louder than words. Ottawa's hesitation raises even more questions, and Trump never plays a game without knowing the end before the first move is made. So maybe, just maybe, this energy bombshell isn't coming. Maybe it's already detonated, and the rest of us are only now hearing the echo.